And we have 55 seconds before we're on the radio.
Okay, 55 seconds. So we're going to be on Lilydale Blog Talk Radio. And my name is Reverend Angie Hewitt-Apt, and we're going to do intros again in a minute. But next to me is Karen Sully, who is our tech person, our friend, our assistant. And below me is our very special guest. This is a very special guest we have on tonight, is my very good friend, Cassandra Joan Butler. So I think we're going to have a fantastic, hi. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't let you say hi. Say hi.
Hi, it's great to be here. It really is.
I'm so worried about doing this right. I forget to pause. I just keep talking, but I guess I do talk a lot, don't I? you both know me.
5 seconds.
Okay, 5 seconds, and we're going to be live on Lilydale Blog Talk Radio. We invite you to ask questions. Going, are we live? Okay. Start, Karen?
Yep. Hi, everyone. Welcome to
right,
Angie and Friends Spiritual Conversations with your host, Angie Hewitt-Apt, a local Lilydale medium, and she's here to share her special guest today, which is Cassandra Joan Butler, a medium and astrologer. And Angie, take it away.
Okay, welcome everybody. If anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Reverend Angie Hewitt-Apt, and I am a registered Lilydale medium. I'm also a graduate of Fellowships of the Spirit, Healing and Prophecy down in Lilydale. I have been doing readings. I hate to admit how long, because then you'll know how old I am, but probably for between 25 and 30 years. And I'm here. I'm honored to be doing a Blog Talk radio show for Lilydale. Lilydale, if you haven't been there, is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's so peaceful just to walk around, and we're excited because we weren't sure with everything going on if Lilydale was going to be open this year. And actually, Karen and Cassandra and I are excited because it's going to be. It'll be limited, like everything is limited, but we'll be down there, so you'll be able to come down and go for that peaceful walk down by the lake. So I'm here with my friend Cassandra, and we're gonna interview her in just a moment. She's got some great stuff to talk about with astrology and what's happening in the world. So actually, you already introduced us, didn't you, Karen?
A little bit, but you can give some background.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So Karen Sully is next to me. She is our tech person, our friend, our assistant. I wouldn't be doing anything if it weren't for Karen. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you. I'm loving assisting all of you technologically. I think it's great that we can connect with so many people virtually and have this go so many places all at the same time. It's kind of like my mission statement for K Dynamics, which is always to connect people and expand visibility. So here we are.
Awesome. Excellent. You do a great job of it too.
Absolutely.
And so below me,
and Karen.
Yeah, we do. And then below me is my very good friend that we've known each other a long time, is Cassandra Joan Butler. And she's a fantastic astrologer, medium, and teacher. And before you start, I'm gonna read your bio. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Angie.
So they can. Yeah, I know. I always hate listening to my bio, but that way they know about you, because really, you know a lot, and you've studied a lot, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about astrology with the knowledge you have. So I want them to know. Yeah. So Cassandra Joan Butler, BSW, MS, LMT, is an international regarded astrologer who uses an integrative approach, blending mastery in astrology, body work, and mediumship. An experienced teacher, Cassandra has taught at Fellowships of the Spirit, Lilydale Assembly, Chautauqua Institution, SOTA, the Kepler Conference, UAC, and many Western New York colleges. She is founding pastor of the Divine Grace Fellowship and a member of the Fellowships of the Spirit. A passionate communicator, she is a frequent media guest across the country. Cassandra's education includes degrees from Cornell and Syracuse universities and the New York Institute of Massage Therapy. So welcome, my friend.
Great to be here. This is so much fun. It really is, because it's one thing to see someone's name. If you're doing like Facebook, to see their faces, it makes it all the more real. And so I want to reach out and hug you both. It's been too long.
I know. I feel the same way. Like, this is the closest we've been in 3 months. And you and I normally, Cassandra and I, get together about once a week for coffee, and
yes.
We always have a dessert, don't we?
We split it. Sometimes we're really good girls. We split the one dessert.
Or sometimes we get two and we split both. We split them both. So
True
it seems
story.
like less. Yeah.
Well, we go to get yogurt and we all get our own.
Yeah. I know our yogurt place. I think our yogurt place, I hope it reopens soon. I've been having a craving for that frozen yogurt for sure.
Yeah.
So do you guys mind, with I feel like with everything going on in the world right now, and then I'm gonna let you take it away, but I feel like we need to all focus on peace right now, and peace around the world, and just, in our cities and our homes, and for everybody. And I have just a short meditation I'd love us to do to start out with, that's going to bring peace to you, and also I'm going to teach you how, if you haven't already done it, to send prayer and peace out into the world, because it works, right, Cassandra?
Absolutely. We love meditation. It's the one thing that keeps us all grounded during this.
Yeah, I feel the same. So I'm going to invite everybody just for a moment to just close your eyes and take a deep breath in and exhale. Another deep breath in and exhale. And just imagine, if you will, beautiful white light coming down from above, from the heavens. And this white light is filled with peace, 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 and relaxation. And just imagine this beautiful light touching the crown of your head, beginning to move through your body, allowing you to feel completely relaxed and full of peace. And just see or feel that light moving through you, stopping at places that are tight or tense, inviting those areas to completely relax as well. Moving all the way down through your toes and your fingers. And then focusing this beautiful light around your heart, allowing peace and love into your heart, and then peace and love to flow from your heart as we begin imagining sending this beautiful white light filled with peace and love out into the world, surrounding our planet, healing and highest and best for everyone. Knowing that if we pause throughout our day and we send light out and energy out from our hearts, we can indeed make a difference. And as you feel ready, opening your eyes, And if you're just tuning in, I'm Angie Hewitt-Apt, a Lilydale registered medium, here with my good friends Karen Sully and my special guest Cassandra Joan Butler. So Cassandra,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about astrology. I don't know, like I've talked to you so many times, I've never actually interviewed, and I'd love to hear like your background and how you started getting into astrology. And
Sure. I always like to start off by saying that astrology is like the ultimate holistic science, because what happens with astrology is that we acknowledge that as above, so below, that everything, the play of the planets, they're like magic clocks that are always ticking, and that they somehow don't affect us like in a materialistic world, but they reflect what's going on. And every single planet and the lights are the sun and the moon, they give us meaning, and I would say even proof that there's an intelligent design behind the creation of the world. I've often said this, and I'm just going to adjust my seat here for a moment, that without the astrology, we wouldn't be able to really understand some of the passing cycles with even mankind. People often think of astrology as something that we do for ourselves, but over the history, we've had astrology being the purview of just the kings and the queens and the popes. So now in this modern age, everyone can take a look at their own astrological chart.
right. I love it. I just throw in that when I first met you at the what's it called? The fair, one of the fairs, the big one that Tracy runs. Yeah. And I remember that's Earth Spirit Expo. Yeah. And and I remember coming and I waited for a reading, and a lot of people were waiting. So I had to wait because people, you give such great information and such good readings. But I remember I didn't know what it was. And I remember like you started to read my chart. And at the time, I was going through one of those, am I ever going to be okay? Is my life going to be okay? Do you remember?
I remember meeting you, Ange. We immediately liked each other. And
yeah.
So, and I work with a lot of people for their first time that they have had a chart done. All right. Because, and you reflect many first timers first, like, what is this? What are these funny little shapes on this piece of paper? What do they mean? Right. And what I do with people is map out your natal chart, your birth chart, and then you superimpose another wheel, and the wheel around it is what's happening now, which is the transit chart.
Yeah.
And then,
and what, go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And so when the planets intersect, that has a certain sense of meaning. In other words, the easiest one to imagine is your birthday, right? So the old-fashioned birthday cards said happy solar returns. Oh, I'm sorry, they would say many happy returns. What they're talking about is the sun returning to where it was when you were born. So when the sun is lined up with your own birth chart's sun, they look right the same wheel. That would be your birthday. And then once a month, the moon lines up where your moon was when you were born. Like yesterday for you, Angie, because I happen to know your chart. I kind of memorize people's charts in my brain. So you had your lunar return yesterday.
Did I? I didn't know that. Is that a good thing?
It's a very good thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So when the planets return, they're always returning because astrology is based on the circle.
Okay. So my lunar return is like halfway between, maybe sort of. My birthday's in January. Might not be halfway between. No, I said, is it like the lunar return? Is that like halfway between?
Oh, let me explain what a lunar return is. That's a little known information for people who are maybe new to astrology. We all understand when our birthday happens, the sun returns. But the sun in astrology is our consciousness, our sense of self, our I am presence. Like, who am I? And that might reflect something the sun would suggest about your sun sign, right? So you're an Aquarius,
Okay.
Karen's a Virgo, I'm a Scorpio. And then there's the moon, which is the unconscious, which is our heart or our feelings. And yours is Libra, Angie. Okay. What's Libra? Libra is the sign of the scales. Libra is beauty. Libra is negotiation. Libra is diplomacy. Libra is the ability to really have empathy for everybody. And I think anyone who knows you would say that about you.
Probably, yeah, probably it's true.
Right?
It's true.
When I
Yeah.
get behind Angie's back, she's one heck of a nice person.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. But you know what though? What I love about astrology is how it fits and how it makes sense, and how, like, I've sent people to you to get their charts done that are a little bit lost and they're not sure what's going on. And you start looking at their chart, and it's always like what's going on in their lives is usually reflects it, and it's about their learning, and it's about them maybe letting go of things or what have you to go to the next phase, which is right in their chart usually too, right?
Yes, Angie, and you know, in everyone's life, a little rain may fall. I mean, we would all accept that. We're going through a lot of rainstorms in 2020 collectively, right? The whole globe. So there are difficult. Scratch that. I'm a Pollyanna. There are challenging planets in our solar system, which create lessons and obstacles and challenges, which when they are overcome, we feel stronger and wiser and more capable. And those planets would be, for example, Saturn and Pluto. And then there are happy planets like Venus, which I want to talk about tonight with everybody. Venus represents love and money and beauty and the goodies of life. So then an astrologer takes your chart, and then she determines where are these other passing planets connecting in your life at any time. And you can pick a time. You can pick 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Yes, you can pick 20 years in the future and see where these planets are interacting and give a good indication. Now, the psychic part, I always say to people, you know, the chart might show you a tough time with work, but the psychic mediumship part of it is not going to tell you what particular business you're going to work for. So, or you might be open to having a relationship, but the psychic or the medium, such as yourself with your incredible talent, you might get the name.
Thanks.
See?
Yeah.
So that a lot of times people who don't know anything about astrology say, well, you know, you're an astrologer. Tell me the name of my next boyfriend. And then I'll say this to my brain. Okay, go into mediumship or psychic abilities. But a lot of astrologers don't do that. You see?
You do both. I know.
They're different skill sets.
That's the beauty of getting a session with you, is you're getting the astrology and you're getting, I love it because I feel like I'm getting the astrology and a reading at the same time, because you connect back and forth.
And when she does massage, which you also do, you get messages and massage. You get a trans or a trivecta there. It's pretty cool.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
You know,
I've had a massage from Cassandra too. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I forgot about that among your talents. But you know, I remember, like, in astrology, what it amazed me is I remember when I opened Santosha, you came and looked at my chart, and it showed that, you know, there was a lot of energy kind of following me, like, and supporting me with opening the center, which I thought was amazing.
Without a doubt. And I know recently we all celebrated Santosha's birthday because it was on May 1st, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
So, and Santosha is an extension of the mommy of Santosha, Angie. And in Angie's chart, she's a Taurus rising. So you come across secure, safe, maternal, loving, and grounded. Those are Taurus words. And you can make an argument that, now you didn't pick that date because of the astrology, but the astrology picked that date because of you.
Yeah, how it's I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So what do you so tell us, if we want to talk, because everybody's thinking about the pandemic and
Sure.
what's happening in our world, and like astrologically, what's going on?
Oh gosh, there's so much. Way back when,
I know
Angie,
I'm hitting you.
no, that's okay, because I'm trying to make it keep it kissy, like keep it simple. So January struck, and the doorbell rang in the heavens. A once every 500 year cycle was born in January of 2020. And so astrologers were jumping up and down all across the globe and saying this. They were saying, man, this is the year that everything's going to change in our planet. There's going to be a lot of tension and pressure regarding the structure of the world and the power brokers of the world, governments and banks and big businesses and the economies. And again, no one really came and said, oh, it's going to be a pandemic. Oh, it's going to be what we've just recently witnessed. Incredible reaction, justifiably so, to a horrific act of brutalization, of a death of a individual who's Black against a white perpetrator. So what's happened, though, you could make this argument that this is the year of transformation, that we're all trying to find our inner sense of groundedness and our inner sense of inner authority in the face of everything that we thought we believed in or thought was secure is crumbling before our very eyes. So it only happens every 500 years. And then when the pandemic was designated by the WHO, it was on March 9th of this year. And that was a full moon. And I had, quote, done a little prediction work with that back in February. And I said, we're probably going to be deemed a pandemic on that date because it was a full moon that brought in the planet Neptune, which rules viruses. So all the planets have meanings. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Neptune's
as above, so below.
Yes, ma'am.
As above, so below. True. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. I know I've heard you talk a couple times on Facebook Live, and it is interesting how it all kind of goes. It's true.
And so, Cassandra, my daughter, who's a quick study in astrology and has been following you, and she had mentioned to me that you said earlier this year the race riots were returned to the 60s, or there was some transit. Actually, no, that was my sister who mentioned that. She said, remember how Cassandra said that this year would be similar? And that's a transit going on as well, right?
Yes, ma'am, Karen. So back, I mean, we're witnessing it this week, obviously. There are something called the eclipses, and most of us don't pay much attention to eclipses. Oh, they're kind of interesting. But eclipses set up cycles of consciousness change. So there's individual change, and then there's more consciousness change. So once every 18 and a half years, we have what's called a nodal shift. And it's right now in the signs of Gemini and Sagittarius. Now, this happens to be a very important week. But this month in Gemini is similar to the month, for example, immediately after 9/11, which of course occurred in September of 2001.
Yeah.
So so cycles come around, and specific to the US's chart, because the US has a chart, this discord and this violence and everything we're seeing is reflected by the dance of Gemini Sagittarius, which represents truth and justice and getting to the bottom of information. And then the planet Mars, which represents anger and frustration. And these two energies are making a little square in the sky. When people feel frustrated, they have no place to go with their anger. And astrology is geometry. So this is what's happening in the sky right now. And then on Friday, we have a lunar eclipse, and things kind of bubble up into a new cycle as of this Friday the 5th. So I think there will be some direct action. I'm not sure what that action might be, but it's amazing to me because we're not talking about COVID right now. What's in everyone's mind is the discord and the rhetoric.
Right? Yeah, that's true. Because you're right. A week ago, that's all we would have talked about was COVID. That's really true.
Yeah.
You know what? I forgot to say this to everybody, that if anybody wants to call in and you have questions for us, you can call into Blog Talk Radio, or we're also on Facebook. So if you want to ask a question, you can. And Karen will keep an eye on questions or comments, right, Karen?
Yep, I will for sure.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Do you know what's the number that they can call in?
If you want to call into the radio show, the call-in number is 818-739-8818. And I will also post that in chat, and that is 818-739-8818.
And I just want to, for anybody that's just tuning in, my name is Reverend Angie Hewitt-Apt. I'm a Lilydale registered medium, and we're on Lilydale Blog Talk Radio. And Lilydale, like, we didn't even talk about Lilydale, but I know the three of us, we love it there, right?
Love it. I've been going there since I've been 13 years old. Love it.
Have you? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the first time I was maybe 20, my early 20s, but I remember listening to my mother when I was a kid talking on the phone, talking about Lilydale. So I always had a curiosity and wanted to go. So I didn't know that you've been going.
Yeah, in fact, one of my first meditation teachers. Now, keep in mind, when I was 13, that was very, very long ago, and meditation wasn't as wonderful and as popular as it is today. But a medium there by the name of Bill Colvin, he was a Canadian medium, and I actually took private meditation lessons with him, and I was a very precocious 13-year-old. It was great. I mean, it was amazing. And I've been coming back ever since. So that's a very long time.
Yeah, there's something about Lilydale. It's hard to not go, because you walk in and you immediately, I feel peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
You too?
Absolutely.
It's a perfect place. Yeah, and I'm excited that they're...
Yeah, it's a jewel of Western New York. And here's a little astrological tidbit about Lilydale. Even Lilydale has a chart.
Wow.
So, yes, that's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with that one at all?
Oh, yeah, it's in my head.
Oh, okay.
So Lilydale's a Virgo. Lilydale's a Virgo, like Karen. And of course, Virgo is a sign of service and help. And Virgo is a beautiful sign of really wanting to help heal. That's number one. Lilydale's moon is Scorpio, which is the sign of intensity, and it rules mediumship. And, its destiny mark is in Capricorn. So it's going through this big change and deepening of its mission in the past 2 years and continuing. So interesting. It also has the healing aspect very strong in its chart as well.
Okay. Oh, really? So that's pretty interesting. So that energy is there to support what's happening in Lilydale.
Right. And also when the religion of spiritualism began, I mean, many people just attribute it to the beginning of the Fox sisters, right? In 1848. In 1848, it was March 31st when the Fox sisters first discovered the wrappings in Hydesville. What was happening at that moment in the skies was that the planet of psychicism, Neptune, was in the sign of intuition and psychicism, which is Neptune. And that was on, obviously, the beginnings. It was pre-Civil War era, but we all know that spiritualism was one of the primary religions in the late 19th century. Okay, so this is really cool. The same energy that was taking place when Lilydale was founded astrologically is back now. Because it's a cycle of 165 years. So every 165 years, it's as if the cosmos is kicking all of us in our in our hearts and saying, get intuitive, get spiritual, get psychic, become more compassionate, because that's the hallmark of Neptune in the sign of Pisces.
Wow. And isn't that for sure? Like, I mean, that's the lessons that we're all being given. You know, I felt with COVID, that's what that was all about, you know, spiritually, was stopping and getting in touch with our compassion and getting in touch with what's important and getting in touch with our spiritual sides.
Totally agree, Angie. No, it was a time, it has been a time for healing and reflection, and meditation, and being at one with our God of our understanding, and maybe really doing a lot of, like you said, determining what's really important, because we didn't have, or haven't had, still really don't have much freedom in some ways, but we have the leisure of going within ourselves to reflect.
Right, which makes us feel so much better, and I think, like a lot of people that I've talked to, is we have to stay home, so we're going within, and I feel like sometimes you have to go within to be able to make changes in your life, or get back to what's truly important.
Right.
Me too.
It's like spiritual therapy, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I know. And we've talked, it is spiritual therapy, that's for sure. And, people have probably heard me say this before, but my cousin always talks about the bless and the mess, and so when something happens, like, don't you love that? I love it. So, and it's the blessing in all this. And there have been some, because I've talked to so many people that have said, how do I want the rest of my life to look? I want to slow down. I don't want to be running around like I know the three of us are always kind of running around, and it's nice in a way to slow down a little bit, right?
I agree. I definitely agree. Yes.
Me too. We have lots of comments. Should I read some of the comments, Karen, or do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, and if you want to bring them up for everyone, you just click on them.
And I actually can see them. This is the first time I've ever been able to see them. Okay, so Melody Marie is on. Hi, Melody. And Melody wants to know, when is Mercury retrograde this month, Cassandra?
Oh, okay. Hello, Melody. Yes. Here's my handy dandy little book. This is, I have a lot of this inside my brain, but it's always good to second guess with paper. So let's just talk a little bit about retrogrades in general. This May was the month of retrogrades. We had planets going seemingly backwards from Earth's perspective, including Venus on the 13th of May, Jupiter on the 14th, Saturn on the 11th, Pluto's been retrograde, Pallas Athena retrograde, and so forth. Mercury doesn't go retrograde, my friend, until June. And that's going to be June 18th. Now, most people are familiar with the expression Mercury retrograde because we've heard horror stories about Mercury retrograde. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us what that means.
Yeah. A retrograde is not necessarily a bad thing at all. A retrograde is a time to review, reconsider, reflect, remember, like kind of go within. So isn't that interesting? In May, when most of us have been on pause, we've been in retrograde. It's like our lives are on hold. But when Mercury goes retrograde, that's considered to be a time not to go forward in doing Mercury things. What's a Mercury thing? A Mercury thing is communication. So you wouldn't necessarily want to get a new telephone. It rules computers. So maybe back up your computers more. Mercury rules cars. So postpone getting that new vehicle until Mercury goes direct. And so for her specific question was June, Mercury retrogrades on the 18th until the 11th of July. And a big retrograde that we're going through right now, friends, I would like to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Really important.
Yes.
So
Please.
Here's a question for everybody. The big question is simply this. If you mark this time on your calendar, and I'm going to be doing something, I always do Facebook Live on Wednesday, but I'm going to do something really special on Wednesday in anticipation of this event. The planet Venus is retrograde. The planet Venus is love, money, and values. As she goes backwards, what happens is that we're really, like you said, Angie, reconsidering what's valuable to us. But on Wednesday, Venus aligns in an inferior conjunction. That's the technical term. She cozies up to the sun. Now, this starts what we call a new Venus star point that only happens every 583 days. It's a cycle of Venus. Now, Venus is really cool. You say Venus, you think beauty, right? She is the most beautiful orbit. She makes a perfect star in her orbit. It looks like a star that you would find when you cut an apple in two and you see that cute little star in the middle of the apple.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Or you go in the garden, you see these really pretty starry looking flowers. So the Venus star point on Wednesday, June 3rd at 1:44 p.m. It's exact. Friends, make a wish, make a wish, make a wish, and decide that you want to really recall what means the most for you. And it's almost like a magical time of blending your mind with your heart.
Wow.
And I think that's when some of the healing through words and rhetoric, because words can kill. I mean, really, our spirit.
Yeah.
Not literally, but symbolically. But really, really recall the times in your life that gives you the most pleasure and love, and align your heart with your mind on that day, because we're launching a new 583-year 3-day cycle, and it's also the sign of Gemini. So any Geminis out there would be really, really feeling it already. It's a time for some healing.
Wow. And so when is that again? That we should do that and align our.
Yeah, that's at 1:44 on Wednesday afternoon. It starts at Venus star point. Now, I am not the astrological expert on this at all by any stretch of the imagination, but I love to share things. And I'm just going to throw this out. But my dear friend Ann Orderly is going to be doing a special class on this on Sunday. And it is going to be presented by the Church of the Living Spirit in Lilydale. It's going to be an online Zoom class specific to this.
That's exciting. That's exciting. That's one of the blesses in the mess, I think, is we've all sort of learned how to do Zoom, right? And we've learned how to do, because I sure didn't know. You, Cassandra, were sort of ahead. You knew how to do it before I did. But really, I just kind of learned, like, I think a week before all this happened. And thank goodness, because it connects us, right?
Yes. Oh, it does. I love Zoom, and now I'm learning a new format, what we're doing tonight. So hopefully, I'll probably.
Oh, this is StreamYard. This is good. I know, I like this too. Yeah, we learned this from our friend Hank.
Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we ask?
Yes, we were talking about resources and technology resources, so I thought I'd slip in a question here about resources for someone just starting to develop an interest in astrology.
Grace Ann, nice to see you, my friend. So it's a very different world than when I came up the astrological learning ranks, because at our fingertips, we can learn so much from very positive, reliable sources. Of course, the first thing I would do is make sure that you have an accurate chart. There are some great sites out there which are very, very reputable, like AstroDinst, Cafe Astrology, and these are also sites that can give you quote unquote free charts that you can keep tabs on. There's a lot of great books out there to start out with. The ones that I find very easy to understand are the Only Way to Learn Astrology series, and I'm sure there are a lot of used and copies floating around the world. The Only Way to Learn Astrology by McEvers and March like the month. And Grace, I also do new classes in astrology all the time. I just started one last Tuesday. I'm focusing on the sun and the moon, so keep in touch with my schooling in astrology. I love introducing people to astrology, and then they'll go on and they'll take more advanced classes elsewhere. It's a never-ending journey of learning, let me tell you.
Yeah, it is. There's a
Thank
lot
you,
to learn.
Karen. Fabulous. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, you put the book up, Karen. Is that another question? Let's see.
No, those are just some. There are other questions. I just was typing
Okay.
that.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. Yep.
It was in the feed.
You know, while you have that up real quick, I'll when you talk about Mercury in retrograde, and I remember that or the retrograde things, and I remember always thinking, oh no, I don't. How is our things to be? And I did try to buy a car once in Mercury in retrograde, and I could not get a deal. And I think you and Elaine Thomas both told me stop trying, and I didn't believe you. But then I did, and then I waited, and when it went out of retrograde, I got a deal that was a good deal. So that was true. But I always think this with Mercury in retrograde is I always feel like I get very organized during those times. Is that part of it too?
Oh, absolutely, Angie, because see, think of Mercury as the mind, the left hemisphere of the mind. And Mercury's not retrograde right now. So our left brain is always racing to that next task, that next to-do list. And during the retrograde, it's like a reboot. We go within our brains and we clean out the clutter, we get organized. It's great for writers because they can edit. So there's no bad time. There are only different times. And I'm glad you mentioned Elaine, because I want to do a big shout out. I know how much we love Fellowships of the Spirit and Lily Dale. We love them both. But I studied extensively with Elaine. I'm very grateful to her for a lot of the mediumship classes.
Me too. Me too. I'm right there with you. Me too. And you know what? I just wanted, because I think we're going to go off the radio in like 3 minutes. And then we can still stay on Facebook Live and answer questions. Are we on still?
We went off the radio. Well, assumably, I think it's still recording, but it was actually at the halfway mark at 30 minutes. So I think I was chatting with someone over in the BlogTalk chat, and they came over and watched us in the Facebook. But I do believe we're still on air because it didn't end, and the record button is still going. So.
Well, let me just give a shout out. Again, we're on Lilydale Blog Talk Radio that we're grateful to be on and to have Cassandra on and Karen. And I just want to give a shout out. There's a lot of mediums doing shows right now on Blog Talk Radio. So if you look on Lilydale Blog Talk Radio, you'll see it. Wednesdays with Willa. I love that one. That's a good one. That's on Wednesday mornings. I think it's at 10. John White, Reverend John White, does a show on Wednesday evenings. I believe he starts at 8 p.m. and I'm not sure what his is called. Celeste Elliott, another good friend of mine, has a show on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. And that's Wake Up to Spirit. And then Sharon Hill, another good friend, just started her show today, and it's Mondays at noon, and it's, I believe it's Ask a Medium. So she's going to have you can call up and you can actually ask her questions ahead of time, and she's going to answer all the questions you would have to ask a medium. So yeah, so make sure you check that out on Lilydale Blog Talk Radio. So all right, I want to go right back to Cassandra, who's answering questions. So. Love that you're here.
This is so much fun.
It is.
We had a question about raising violence of the military. I think it was Noreen asking something. Is it the transit that we're in right now? You said it's the Mars square, so there is a rising kind of violent aspect to it, right? Is that going to be a certain amount of time, do you think, or do you think it'll escalate where our military will end up taking lives? Is I think where she was going with that.
Okay. The thing about astrology is that there are big cycles and many intense cycles, right? So something else kind of shifted this last week on Wednesday last, and that was the well-behaved asteroid of Juno started to get out of her retrograde position. This is an example when retrograde can be actually helpful. So she was retrograde since February 8th, and she was in the sign of relationship and etiquette. and all those nice things we think of when people are being considerate of other people. She was retrograde. So the minute that she went direct, almost the minute, that's when, say, for example, the protests began to get more violent. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, they were opposite the wounded healer, or Chiron. And this has been a dance all throughout COVID. One of the themes of COVID is how can we heal our individual selves without discourse, or within the boundaries of helping our fellow human beings. So it's like me first or my fellow human beings first. Well, maybe we can reach a compromise. And so it's the age-old battle of me versus us in so many ways. And again, a lot of astrology is very symbolic. As far as the military goes, in our country's chart, Mars rules the military. Mars in the US's chart is in Gemini. It's conjunct Uranus, and all of this full moon stuff that's coming to a head this week. It's like a boulder that's throwing itself down the hill. It's collecting lots and lots of moss. And I think by Friday, there's going to be some sort of a shift in the violent tendencies. We may have even a lot more restrictions. It's hard to say, but please stay well and observe the Friday's eclipse. We enter a new cycle at that point. Yeah.
And send healing too, send prayers and send healing energy, because that's the thing that we can do. Sometimes I'll think, I don't know what to do and how can I fix this? And I know that when I start sending healing out, whether it's white light coming down from above to my heart and I send it from my heart, or I see it coming from my hands all the time, I go like this and send it, and I can feel it, right? I know you both are healers. We can feel it. And I've had people say, I remember doing healing for my stepfather when he lived in Florida, and I would send healing from here. And it was funny because he'd say, I can tell you started at 7 and I know you ended at 7:30 because I could feel the difference in energy. And by the way, I felt so much better. So I feel like that's right, Cassandra and Karen, you both agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
An intention of just highest and best, even if you don't believe you have healing abilities, which we all do, but some of us aren't dialed in.
Yeah.
Just the intention for highest and best is something you can always ask for, because we don't know what's highest and best for us, as a society and as a planet and as individuals.
Yeah, I think you're also right. I mean, one of the things we're doing. I know you and know you both and care about you and love you guys. I know you would do that routinely. And I think what you just said, Karen, to mirror that, some people don't realize how powerful they are out there. And just to, you don't have to be a fancy trained healer. Just maybe picture the globe or picture your community and put your hands out and just open up your heart. And that works. That works. That helps.
Yeah. I did that for a while when COVID first started. And actually, I'm going to do it again now. I forgot, but picture the globe and just put white light, and sometimes you get white light and you just use your imagination. There's one there. There we go. So we can picture that. And sometimes you even get colors, they're right. Yeah. So do that, because that's how I feel like, kill them with kindness, as they say, right? And we're sending out lots of peace and hopefully that, I know that'll make a difference.
Absolutely. Sure. I want to give also a strong message here about astrology. Some people push back against maybe learning it or thinking about it because they don't like the idea that we as individual souls are somehow being influenced or manipulated by rocks that are spinning around the sun. And astrology isn't like that. It's much more subtle. Astrology really works. And every day I know that after, 40 years of doing this stuff. But it works in a real subtle whispering sort of effect, so that when you understand the cycles, you can work within the confines. We are in the middle of still spring in Western New York. We're not going to necessarily anticipate a snowstorm I mean, anything can happen, but
I hope not. Yeah, we never know. We never know in Buffalo, right?
Yeah. So the astrology basically gives you the weather, right? And as it gives you the weather, then you can work within the weather and still maintain your sovereign individuality. So you work with it, right? I'm just going to miss my bangs are bothering me. Who needs a haircut out there, guys?
I need a haircut. Oh no, I know. I need to stop having to color my own hair. That's not good. So what are we going to do? I know we appreciate, we always appreciated our hair people, Becky, but now we appreciate them more, you know?
Yeah. We can't sweat the small stuff, right?
I know. We have to just go with it. Yeah. So Karen, do we have any more questions?
I think people have been agreeing with our points, and I didn't see, do either of you know anything about solar flares? That's not a game board I play on, so I don't know a lot about solar flares. Does that impact Cassandra?
Yes. There's a form of something that's called cosmic biology. And that's the scientific name for looking at the cosmos changes. And we just had some solar flares. We go through solar flare minimum and solar flare maximum. Now, they actually correspond with the astrological cycles of the eclipses. So there's a lot of fields out there which observe the natural phenomena, but astrology will also back it up and say, oh yeah, there's a correspondence. If you talk to a financial planner, they'll talk about the way the silver markets seem to go in 18-year cycles along with the gold markets. Well, that's a whole other ball of wax, right? Wow. The economy. But there's astrological professionals out there who offer market and financial advice. That's the cool thing about astrology. You can always apply it to everything in your life, right? So I'll be teaching a class at Lilydale on meditation using astrology.
Wow. That's awesome. Is that going to be on Zoom also? It's on Zoom, right?
Yeah. So,
I think all Lilydale's courses they're going to still have all the same courses, but all on Zoom.
Exactly.
Fellowships of Spirit as well. And I think you're teaching for fellowships also, right?
Yes, I'm teaching a class on cosmic anatomy this year. And also, when I planned this class, we had no idea, Elaine and I, but we're going to be talking about, are we really in the age of Aquarius or not? So that's going to be an interesting class.
Very interesting. Very good. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Definitely check those out, everybody. That Lilydale, they're going to open, and I think somebody posted it. That might have been you, Karen, about that they're going to allow 80 people in a day. So the best thing to do is to buy your ticket ahead of time, and I'm sure that they'll post information on the website on how they're going to do that. Some of the guest houses will be open, and there'll be mediums. I'll be there doing readings, so I'm excited about that. My first year doing that, so that'll be very exciting.
It'll be wonderful. You're going to share your gifts with so many more people. That's awesome, Angie. You're wonderful.
Yeah. So we're almost at like an hour, I think. Wow, that went by pretty darn quick. So okay, so Cassandra, we were talking ahead of time. You were going to talk about. Did we talk about everything?
Well, if you want me to give a little snippet about how this star point might be affecting people. Like I said, this is the star point week. It's and again, just a plug to Church of the Living Spirit and the class with Ann Orderly at 1:00 on Sunday. Also 1:00 on Saturday. NCGR, which stands for the Karen's a member. It's an international organization of astrologers. We're going to be doing a class on Saturday at 1:00. But I could go through all the signs really quickly. If you like.
I was hoping you would. I didn't want to ask you, but yes, I'd love that.
Yeah, and there was a quick question about the eclipses that are coming this month. Okay, did we already cover the eclipses?
You can ask another question. Was there just someone else have a question on the eclipses? We have an eclipse on this Friday.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
That's the lunar eclipse where the moon disappears and we enter in lunar eclipses are more emotional. And the words will fly. It's about freedom. It's about rhetoric. It's about the law. That's what gets ignited on Friday. Then, as we welcome summer, my goodness, on the solar eclipse of summer solstice, it's a big, big deal. It's that happens, of course, on June 20th. So that sets a tone. We might get a lot of frantic emotions this week, but get calm and centered on Wednesday. Then on June 20th, we have the solar eclipse where we initiate new action where we live, in our emotions, in our homes, what gives us security. That's the message of June 20th.
Okay. I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down so I know, because I'm always amazed by, you'll say, this is how we're probably feeling, and normally that is how I'm feeling. So,
and our eclipse is a good time to manifest? That's what someone's asking, or would you suggest waiting to manifest Wednesday afternoon?
Great question. There are two types of eclipses. So what you need to manifest, and the conundrum or the confusion about what it is, the emotionality of it, comes up at the lunar eclipse. So this week, with the emotions swirling, you'll get feedback at the full moon lunar eclipse. Then you manifest, you begin the path of manifestation that big day on June 20th. That's when you set your intentions. Set intentions under solar, you get a little emotional around the lunar. So there's two types of eclipses.
Okay, great.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
And now what we've all been waiting for, right? You're going to go through our...
I'm going to fly through these, right? I've got like 4 minutes. I got it down, girls. All right. Aries, this is for Wednesday. This is for Wednesday. Make a concerted effort on Wednesday to reflect on how to bring your mind and your heart together, and how to manifest your heart's desire for the next 583 days. If you're Aries, you want to do that with your communications. You want to do that with the way that you're organizing your time. For Taurus or Taurus rising, you want to manifest and think about your abundance, your skills, your finances. If you are Gemini, all eyes on you with this beautiful star Venus connection on Wednesday. Fall in love with yourself, Gemini. If you're our Cancer friends, really find a way to maximize your spiritual practices, the way that you go into retreat and pray and meditate. For Leos, it's time to take a look at your tribe, your friends, your groups, your associations, and find those people that really jive with you. For Virgo, it's your career. It's ways to maximize what truly turns you on and gives you pleasure. For Libra or Libra rising, your marketing, your communication, your teaching, your writing, and your connecting with others as of Wednesday. Scorpio, really manifest and connect with your heart and your mind, transformation and long-term financial security. Sagittarius, your partners, if you're married or you're not married, or you don't have a best friend, or you do have a best friend, you'll be able to see yourself through the eyes of your significant other. Capricorn, it's your work, it's your health, and becoming healthier in your routine to become more whole and healthy. Aquarius, Angie, it's time to play. Think of all the things that give you joy and the ability to play more. That's on Wednesday. Heart and mind together. Pisces, finding a way to feel more at home in your home, or maybe clean your home, or move, or change, or do something which creates the dream home for you as of Wednesday. That was pretty good. 2 minutes.
I love that. I love that. It's so funny because you say mine and I didn't know that's what it was. And I've been having the urge to play more, and take a little break just to enjoy. We should all do that and have joy. So you did that really quick. I'm glad you did it though. I love hearing it.
Articulated so people could hear it. Hi, Deb. I'm looking at people out there.
Oh, yeah. Valerie, Deb. Yeah, Murdy. Hi, Rita. I know we have a whole bunch of our friends on.
Yeah.
Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie Apt, who must be one of my relatives. You have to figure out how.
Yeah, you still don't know who she is. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I want to just say too, so take a look at Cassandra's your website and your Facebook page so they can see your classes, right?
I'm very proud of my website. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of
And
ladies
Karen
out there.
posted, yeah. Yep. And you can take a look at santoshaholisticcenter.com or our Facebook page. We have lots of courses coming up this month as well. And Wednesday actually is our spiritual worship service, and our guest inspirational speaker is John White. So I'm excited about John White. Yeah.
And
yeah,
then you can flip over to Cassandra after John White and have a
right
spiritual,
after, that's right.
a double header.
Yes. I think we're 7 to 8. You start right at 8. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Sounds
Great.
good.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Cassandra. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen.
A real hug.
Thank you.
Yeah, no
everybody.
problem.
Thank you, everybody,
No problem.
so much for joining us. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Oh, Ange, one quick question. Do we have a guest for next week?
Ann Young.
Oh, yeah,
Theta
that's
healer,
right. Ann Young. Theta healing and
Awesome.
Yep, she goes back to Taiwan. So
excellent, excellent. Well, again, thank you all for joining us. And if you are still listening on Lilydale Radio, we are going to sign off right now. And we thank you all for joining us. We hope you join Angie and her friends' spiritual conversations every Monday at 7 p.m. And thank you again for being here.